Do you ever see those beautifully sculpted marble statues in museums and wonder where they're from? A lot of people may mistake it for ancient Greek sculptures, but that's not always the case. Most marble statues are actually just replicas of the original bronze sculptures in ancient Greece. However, the ancient Romans were the first to be inspired by the Greek statues. Many Roman sculptures were derived from Greek prototypes, so this resulted in a lot of the Roman sculptures to look very, very similar to the Greek statues. But the ancient Romans did incorporate their own style through their interests and their values. Now, it's very easy to get confused between differentiating the two because they both have very similar characteristics in their form. But there are some key differences that you can look for so you can easily recognize a statue at a first glance next time you take another trip to a museum. Now let's compare and contrast these two marble statues. But before we do, let's talk about each one of their individual characteristics. The first one on the left is called Sleeping Satyr, also known as the Barberini faun from Rome, Italy. It was made from 230 to 200 BCE, and it stands at 7 feet and 1 inch high. The second one on the right is called Portrait of a Roman General from the Sanctuary of Hercules, and this one is originally from Tivoli, Italy. This one was made from 75 to 50 BCE, and it stands at 6 feet and 2 inches high. So the Roman statues were pretty much a little more realistic with their size proportions. The Barberini faun was made during the Hellenistic period, where mythology and godlike creatures were popular, and this statue represents a drunken satyr restlessly sleeping, and in Greek mythology, a satyr is usually a male nature spirit with an exaggerated erection. If you look closer, you can see the tail by the left leg, so it actually indicates that it's a semi-human, and it is in a state of consciousness. The Roman general is a realistic depiction of a life-sized body, and this life-size body is actually based off of an idealized Greek statues of heroes and athletes. But the disconnected head is a veristic portrait of a Roman general. So already we can see a huge difference with just the way both cultures express their subject matter. Ancient Greeks gravitated towards the theme of ideal beauty, perception, and gods, and the ancient Romans focused on more of a characterful works and narrative scenes. The face of the Tivoli general shows an exhausted and worn out look, and the Barberini faun looked almost as if it was too perfect. The Greeks believed that the head and the body were inseparable parts, so their statues were almost always full length. The Romans often reproduced only the head, and that's why you see a lot more portrait busts in museums that have Roman sculptures. The Greek statue is often hypersexualized, and you can usually see it in the body language, whereas the Romans focused more on formal poses because their sculptures usually represented important people or leaders in their generation. The Romans only admired the way Greeks portrayed athletes with their poses and stances, and so they recreated a lot of those references in their statues. The Roman general is a prime example of combining their style into their statues because of the contrast between the veristic head attached to an idealistic body. Overall, the more history you learn about the different cultural practices in ancient Greece and Rome, the easier it gets to identify their sculptures. Thank you for watching, and I hope that this gave you some insight on Greek and Roman statues.